I never thought the kind of violence we see on the evening news would find me in the middle of an ordinary Saturday. It was early afternoon, and the mall was alive. That familiar blend of chatter, children's laughter, the soft swirl of music from storefronts, and the sweet scent of caramel popcorn wafting through the air. I walked slowly, my steps unhurried, gazing at the shops like they were old friends. This mall was my pride. I had helped fund it, design it, and bring it to life. It was more than just concrete and glass. It was a dream I built stone by stone. But to them, I was just another old black man, invisible until judged. The first look was sharp, sudden. Two young security guards in blue uniforms locked eyes on me, like I was a problem they were trained to solve. Their gaze cut through my plain clothes, my slightly hunched frame, my graying hair. I kept walking. My mother taught me long ago, never drop your head. Never let them see you shrink. But they weren't just looking. Footsteps approached from behind. At first, I convinced myself it was nothing. Coincidence. You want to believe times have changed, that your fear is outdated. But for folks like us, history doesn't fade. It just changes its uniform. Before I could turn, a firm hand clamped down on my arm. "Sir, come with us," one said flatly. His grip was tight, unyielding. The other moved in quickly, without a word, pushing me forward. "What's going on?" I asked, stunned. No answer. They led me through the crowd like I was a shoplifter. My protests came out weak, strangled by disbelief. People watched, but no one intervened. Most looked away, as if fear could rub off just by making eye contact. My voice cracked. "I helped build this place," I whispered. But they didn't care. They had already decided who I was. They dragged me to a service corridor behind the food court. The air turned colder, harsher. One slammed me against the wall. Pain shot through my shoulder. Still, I stayed calm. That's the rule, right? Don't resist. Don't raise your voice. Don't give them a reason. They frisked me roughly, pulling at my jacket, grabbing my phone, my keys. One of them muttered something under his breath. Another one of them, thinking they can go where they don't belong. I heard it. I felt it in my bones. I tried again. "My name is Harold Jennings. I'm a stakeholder in this property. I want to speak to management." Laughter. "Owner," the shorter one scoffed. "Yeah, and I'm a mayor of Chicago." Their laughter echoed off the concrete. Cold, cruel. For a moment, I thought about fighting back. Just yelling. Just something. But I didn't. I remembered my father's voice. "They always see you as dangerous. Don't prove them right." The shame burned more than the pain. I remembered my mother's tired hands, my father's warnings. "You'll have to be twice as good just to be seen as enough." It was the truth of our lives. They threw me down. I hit the floor hard, elbows scraped, ribs aching, blood pooling in my mouth. Still, I didn't cry out. Even as humiliation choked me, I held my breath. I had to believe this wasn't the end of the story, that I could smell the lemony sting of cleaning products. I saw the scuffed wheels of a janitor's cart parked nearby. The flickering fluorescent lights above me buzzed, casting a sterile, pale glow, nothing like the glamour outside. I could still hear the mall's sounds through the wall. Kids begging for ice cream, a pop song humming in the distance. Life continuing as mine was dragged to a halt. The memories came in flashes. Me and my business partner standing in mud all those years ago, blueprints in hand, dreaming of community, opportunity, something better. I remembered the opening day ribbon, the applause, the smiles. And now here I was, face down on the very floor I helped build. They didn't check my ID. They didn't care. My wallet lay open near the wall, my name printed clearly beside a faded mall executive badge I kept out of nostalgia. But none of that mattered. Not to them. To them, I was a suspect. A problem. A black man alone that I saw the corner of an electronics store up ahead. Glowing screens advertised end of season deals. A young couple walked by laughing, unaware that a man was being brutalized just feet away. It was like there were two malls, one shiny and full of promises, and the other hidden in the shadows where truth lived. The corridor where I lay was ugly, with stains on the floor, dented boxes, peeling paint. This was the side no one ever showed. Not in brochures, not in press releases. The irony, I had poured money into this place, created jobs, believed in the vision. I had built something for everyone. only to be reminded I was still other. Pain radiated through my ribs, but the worst part was the silence, the dehumanizing quiet of being treated like you didn't matter, like you didn't exist. That I heard one guard on the radio. "We have a suspicious male. Might have been shoplifting. Requesting backup." Shoplifting? I almost laughed through the blood in my mouth. I stayed still. I knew a wrong move could get me hurt worse. Or worse, not hurt, but erased. That I glanced toward the loading dock where trucks came in daily. I remembered the delivery men who shook my hand, call me boss. Now, I was a ghost in the building I helped build, and it wasn't just about me. It was about all of us who had built this country. My father, who cleaned floors until his back gave out. My mother, who marched in silence for the right to be treated with dignity. My children, who still have to explain their skin color doesn't make them dangerous. That I closed my eyes. I told myself this. They don't get to write my story. I remembered who I was. I remembered why I built this place. Not for them, but for us. For the dream. Footsteps approached. More voices. Maybe this was the moment the truth would come alight. Or maybe the storm wasn't over yet. But one thing was certain, I would not let this end in silence. The corridor was filled with silence as the guards circled around me. Another one appeared, holding a radio, spitting out bits of urgent communication. Suspect resisting, awaiting backup. It felt like they were constructing a lie, creating a narrative where I was the threat. I moved slowly, trying to show I wasn't dangerous, just an old man in pain. My ribs throbbed with agony, each breath feeling like a blade. One of the guards shouted, "Stay on the ground," and shoved me down once more, this time with unnecessary force. I heard a laugh. My phone was kicked away, sliding across the floor, disappearing from view. Alice. I couldn't call her now, but despair had no place here. I had to survive that. I lay there, each breath more painful than the last. A third guard appeared, older, disinterested. "Why'd you bring him back here? What's the play?" he sneered. Even within their ranks, there was doubt, but no one moved to help. Another guard yanked my arm back, popping my shoulder. I cried out. "Where are your documents?" they demanded. "In my wallet," I gasped, pointing with my chin. But they ignored it. It was easier to assume guilt. It was easier to label me a criminal. The radio crackled again. "Dispatch advised," someone muttered. The guards exchanged nervous glances. One of them, young, arrogant, stepped closer, his presence more threatening. People had started to gather around the edges of the corridor. Mall workers, vendors, bystanders. No one intervened. The silence filled the space, heavy with knowledge of injustice, but without the courage to speak out. They had seen this story before. The manager appeared, puffing and flustered, his suit rumpled and his face panicked. "What is going on here?" he demanded. All three guards spoke at once, suspect possible theft, resisting. They were quick to spin their version of events. But when he looked at me, and my documents scattered on the floor and my face, his expression shifted. Recognition. Fear. He knew who I was. But it didn't matter. Fear held more power than truth. "Did you frisk him?" the manager asked, his voice sharp. "Nothing found," one of the guards replied. "Then hold him until the police arrive," the manager ordered, his voice wavering with cowardice. That command fueled the guards. They hoisted me up like I was nothing. My shoulders screamed, my legs buckled. One guard grabbed me by the neck, shoving me forward. I staggered. Then I fell. My knee gave out. My hand hit the floor with a sickening crack, my skin tearing open. Pain exploded through me. But what hurt most was the humiliation, being watched, degraded, turned into a public spectacle. They dragged me to my feet again. One guard twisted my arm behind my back, applying unnecessary pressure. I screamed, resisting how he taunted. They slammed me against the wall. My lungs emptied and my vision blurred. My head spun. I was slipping. I felt my body fighting against the pain, try to hold on. Then a voice cut through the chaos. What's going on here? It was a woman's voice, calm and firm. Every head turned. Angela Moore, city councilwoman, stood there, phone in hand, recording. She was filming all. "Release him," she commanded. The guards froze, caught off guard by her authority. The manager stuttered. "Ms. Moore, this is just a misunderstanding. Don't lie to me," she snapped. I saw everything, and I know who this man is. Her presence changed the air in the corridor. The onlookers started pulling out their phones. Cameras rose. The false narrative was being recorded now, and the guard's version was falling apart. Angela knelt beside me. "Mr. Brooks, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Help is here." Then the police arrived, but this time, not to help the guards. Officer Hayes entered the scene. He saw the blood on my hand, the bruises on my face. "Who authorized this?" he asked. The guards hesitated. The manager stepped back, trying to shrink into the background. Angela turned to the officer. "We need an ambulance, and I want those body cams pulled. Now." Hayes nodded and made the call. Paramedics arrived moments later. As they gently lifted me onto a stretcher, I caught a glimpse of the young guard's eyes. There was doubt now, a flicker of uncertainty. He wasn't in control anymore. The script they had written was unraveling. Angela stayed by my side. "You're not alone," she said softly. "You're not invisible. Not anymore." As I was wheeled out of the corridor, I could hear murmurs from the crowd. Some clapped, others cried. The silence that had held them back had broken. There were witnesses now, and their voices would not be silent. Outside, the mall continued to bustle with its usual routine, oblivious to the shift that had occurred. But inside, something had changed. Not just for me, but for every person who had witnessed the injustice and now saw what silence could allow. The truth had found its way to the surface, and it wasn't going back into the shadows. This time, the world wasn't going to look away.